Welcome to Wild Breakaway with Wes Walz. I'm Audra Martin. After two tough losses on the road in Winnipeg, the Minnesota Wild were very anxious to get back to the XL Energy Center, where they've been one of the best teams during the regular season. Well, tonight they were certainly the better team tonight in front of the home crowd. A huge 6-2 win over the Winnipeg Jets, all thanks to one of the best single periods we've seen from this team, a dominant second period.
Yeah, it was, and really the Minnesota Wild come out ready to play in the first period. And I thought the not the turning point, but one of the biggest points of the game for me is the fourth line and Marcus Foligno, how he came out in his first couple shifts and was very, very physical, set the tone. And then as the game went on, everybody bought into that. Everyone was physical. 50-50 pucks. And I mentioned this in the post game after game two. The Winnipeg Jets won in the last half of the game three. In my opinion, they probably won 65-70% of the 50-50 pucks we talk about. That was the exact opposite here in Game 3. The Minnesota Wild were very determined. They were the faster team. They were the more desperate team. They deserved to win here tonight, and they got their win, and they cut the lead in half.
So 4 goals tonight in the second period for the Minnesota Wild, all equaling one of the biggest wins in playoff history. 6 goals, the most ever, and a home win for the Minnesota Wild. And despite being outshot by the Winnipeg Jets, and a big night on special teams as the Minnesota Wild kill off 4 out of their 5 penalties and go 2 for 3 on the man advantage. Tonight, the crowd was into this one from the get-go, and Bruce Boudreau appreciates the support they have here on home ice.
Well, I think the crowd was into it. We got a couple power plays after that, and I think the 5-on-3, when we scored the goal in the first period, finally, it made us believe that we could get another one. And when we got the lead, it was again one of those things that you're playing against a great team, and you say, wow, we got the lead. So when the crowd gets behind you, it's the same as in Winnipeg. When the crowd gets behind them, they're tough teams to beat. That's why both teams, I think, have great home records.
So now the series continues with Game 4 Tuesday night, again here at the XL Energy Center. Puck drops at 7 o'clock, which means you should join us at 6:30 for Wild Live. Now that game, obviously right now, it's the Minnesota Wild who have all the momentum in hand following this huge win in Game 3. It's just a matter of keeping their foot on the gas, because the Winnipeg Jets aren't going to make it easy on them at all.
No, you saw Paul Maurice, their head coach's interview at the end of the game. You could tell he was not very happy. And I just wanted to talk about Bruce Boudreau talking about the home team. I couldn't agree with him more. Tonight, the fans in St. Paul were unbelievable. I don't remember ever in a playoff game, in a 0-0 game in the first period, hearing "Let's Go Wild" while the Minnesota Wild are killing a penalty in a 0-0 game. I mean, it was impressive, and I can tell you as a former player, when you look up at the scoreboard and you see 0-0 and we're only killing a penalty, and you're hearing "Let's Go Wild," the impact that can have in a locker room and on the bench is really immense. And I thought the Minnesota Wild fans had a huge reason as why they pulled out this first win. But it ain't going to make Game 4 any easier. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be ready to play. The Minnesota Wild are going to have to match their effort in Game 3 if they want to even up this series for sure.
Well, tonight was impressive, about as good as you can get here in front of the home crowd. We'll see if the Wild can give their fans something else to cheer about Tuesday night in Game 4. We look forward to seeing you then. For Wes Walz, I'm Audra Martin. Thanks for joining us on Wild Breakaway.